So this morning, Pokemon Company finally revealed another new Mega Evolution for the Pokemon ZA game, Pokemon Legends ZA game coming out later this year, and it is Mega Victreebel. Except it looks like a joke. It literally looks like a giant bag of whatever the heck is inside it. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's really strange. I feel like this is now the second Mega Evolution in a row. They've only revealed two for the new game, but the second one in a row that just feels a little too goofy. I don't know. I feel like Megas didn't used to look this ridiculous. There were some, of course, like a handful here and there that kind of looked a little silly, but for the most part, they looked really cool, and they kind of added on to the current design of the Pokemon. Whereas this is literally Victreebel, except its vine is now tied around its mouth, and that's it. And I guess its belly is a lot bigger as a result. But if we look at it closely, there's going to be a point in the trailer where, right there, it's like releasing the poison gas. It literally looks like Victreebel. Like, this right here, this is Victreebel. This is the original Victreebel design, with just the vine kind of covering its throat, I guess. And then when it closes its mouth, it inflates again. But that's really all they did, if you think about it. They just took the Victreebel design, moved the vine around its mouth, expanded its bottom, made it like huge, and that's about it. Now, if you look back to the first trailer that they showed off a few months ago or a few weeks ago, whenever it was, when they showed off Mega Dragonite, there was a very similar feeling I got too when they revealed it. So, Mega Dragonite is one of the last few pseudo legendaries that needs a Mega Evolution that has not received one up until this point. So, Dragonite's design, obviously being from Gen 1, is pretty simple by nature. It looks a little goofy already, but it has a charm to it that it's like a strong, brutal dragon, but it looks a little cute on the outside. And I always wondered, if they did a Mega Evolution for Dragonite, maybe they could incorporate some aspects of Dragonair into its design. I thought that could be cool. Maybe revert it back to like a serpent, or maybe give it bigger wings or something. They kind of did do that, but not exactly in the way I envisioned it. So Mega Dragonite's Mega Evolution, gives it these huge giant wings on its head, which I don't know why did it need to be on its head? Why couldn't they just sprout out from its back? It has two sets of wings. No, sorry, it has three, technically four if you count the little shoulder pad wings. 4 sets of wings. Now, the ones by its ankles, sure, it kind of gives you that Hermes kind of design. I'll take that, sure. Maybe it'll be a lot faster. The ones on its head, had they not been so big, I think they could have looked cool too. And then, sure, leave the ones on his back, maybe make them a little bit bigger, but they're still tiny. They're still tiny little wings. But beyond that, they gave its tail at the tip of it this orb right there. That is the same one from Dragonair. The Dragonair has the same little gem-like orb at the tip of its tail. So they're taking aspects of Dragonair and implementing it into Dragonite. And Dragonair also has the wings on its head, so, it feeds into that as well. But The tail just looks really weird and awkward attached to Dragonite's body. I feel like they didn't proportion it out correctly. That being said, I need to look back at the older Mega Evolutions that came out for the older games and try to look at them and judge them in a very unbiased manner to figure out whether or not Mega Dragonite and Mega Victreebel are really as bad as I initially think they are. Or maybe they're just kind of being designed in the same fashion as the older ones. I don't really remember, but looking through this list, there's only a handful of Mega Evolutions here that remind me of the goofy Mega Dragonite and Mega Victreebel. So the original trio, they look pretty good. I feel like it's like a natural next evolutionary step for all of them. Venusaur grows some more plants, grows some more leaves, grows another flower on its head. Nothing's too like weird and goofy looking about him. They could have maybe, extended this flower on his back and made it look like a giant palm tree. That would have been similar to Mega, or not Mega, but just a Lowland Executor. But they didn't go that route, and I appreciate that. It's realistic in Pokemon terms, I guess. Mega Charizard X is a solid Mega Evolution. Everyone was always talking about Charizard. Why is he not a dragon type? There you go. They made him a dragon. And they made him black, which is cool, just like his original shiny. And you have the blue flames coming out. So blue and black, they're a nice color combo. And Mega Charizard Y, very similar to original Charizard, but they added some, wings on his arms, some spikes on his tail, and, another big spike, horn rather, on the back of his head. But generally is very similar to regular Charizard. The wings also look a little jaggedy and dry, I guess, because, fire, heat, dried out, things like that. It all looks good, and I feel like it's like a natural next step. And I think the main point of Mega Evolutions, correct me if I'm wrong, is like the Pokemon is being forced to evolve because it's not like a natural thing. The most the Pokemon can evolve is like twice. So this is like forcing it to evolve again. And some of these things, look, it's like a half evolution in a lot of ways. It's not like a full-blown evolution. So it still looks a lot like the original Pokemon. Mega Blastoise just has a giant cannon on its back. Its original 2 cannons come out on its arm. It's still, very stouty, very bulky looking. Looks good. I don't know, not really much to say about that. Going down the list here, Mega Alakazam gets more spoons. He's levitating now, super intellectual with the psychic powers. Mega Gengar, he's literally coming out of the ground. He's like one with the shadows now. I think it's a good addition. Mega Kangaskhan, simple, but it works. The baby pops out of the pouch and gets to punch you in the face as well. Mega Pinsir grows wings. A lot of bugs and beetles like that have wings. Gyarados becomes like a koi fish. Interesting choice, but they could have just made him longer, but then it would have looked a little strange in my opinion. But it's a dark type now, right? So it's not my favorite Mega, but I think it's fine. They didn't like make it look like a weak little koi fish. They didn't like revert it back to a Magikarp looking Mega or whatever. So I think it's good. It's a good Mega Evolution. Mega Aerodactyl, I never liked that much. I feel like this is really kind of super simple. I don't want to say lazy, but they really just added some like jaggedy rocks all over its body and called it a day. So this makes it look like it has a beard. Yeah, an original Aerodactyl. Like you can see the original Aerodactyl within that design, like very much so. I guess its fingers are gone now. It no longer has fingers, like its fingers became like the spikes. But yeah, I guess this one I would compare more so with the 2 more recent Mega Evolutions that we got. But that's just one. That's just one out of like 50 or whatever. Mega Mewtwo X. It's a fighting type now, so it kind of makes sense. It looks bulkier, looks more durable. It looks like it can not only throw you across the room with its mind, it can throw you across the room with its arms. Mega Mewtwo Y. I always remember thinking this was going to be Mega, or not Mega. I always thought this was going to be Mew 3 or something. And I always wish they did that. But it really looks cool. It's like a ascended version of Mewtwo. The tail is no longer coming out of its butt. It's coming out of its head. It has this weird little half halo thing. Reminds me of Mew in some ways, but still very much Mewtwo in others. I think it's cool. It's kind of just doubling down on the psychic powers that it has. Mega Ampharos. I love this design for what it is, but it is extremely goofy and very silly. It just kind of grows a luscious, beautiful bunch of hair on the back of its head, and its tail becomes a little bit like a cloud, which, kind of plays into Mareep and Flaffy, them being like sheep. So it kind of still works. The way it looks like in game is very funny. It like stands there and it like flips its hair around and looks very like majestic. It's pretty funny. But Ampharos and Dragonite, I feel like, are in very different planes. Whereas Dragonite's a pseudo-legendary, you would expect him to get a Mega Evolution that looks really cool, really powerful looking. Whereas Ampharos, just it kind of looked funny a little bit, and they just kind of decided to, add on to that. Mega Victreebel also, it looked weird, but they just went to another level, like not even one level up, like 50 levels up in terms of like silliness and goofiness. Like, how can we make this Pokemon look extremely stupid? And that's what they did with Mega Victreebel. Mega Scizor, pretty simple. They added looks like some bits of armor across its body. Its pincers kind of look like staplers now that I'm looking at it. I can't unsee it. This literally looks like a stapler. But I don't think it's a huge downgrade. At the very least, I don't love it. I feel like they could have done more with it. Maybe actually made his pincers look like scissors. I think that could have been cool. But instead, they went with like these crab-looking pincers again, which he had those originally too, which is fine. But I think it's okay. It's a simple design, but they're not making it look unrealistic for what it would have been as a Mega Evolution. Mega Heracross, similarly enough, I think this is now supposed to look like a Hercules beetle. I'm not quite sure. I know it was originally based off of a Hercules beetle as well, but this just kind of again doubles down on his strength. It's a very strong Pokemon, makes his arms really bulky, bigger horn, all that stuff. Mega Houndoom looks more devious, looks more devilish. I think it's a pretty good Mega Evolution. More horns, more like bones and things like that. Mega Tyranitar, I guess, would be the closest comparison to Mega Dragonite, since both are pseudo-legendaries. This one's also pretty simple. I feel like at the end of the day, I just don't like how they made Dragonite look less menacing than what he was originally. And he didn't even look that menacing to begin with. Tyranitar, he did look pretty menacing somewhat. It's very simple design, I guess. They just made him a lot more spikier and sharper in a lot of ways. All of his like spikes just kind of grew out a little bit. They made his belly red. So nothing too crazy there, but I don't know. It's not like they went ahead and decided to incorporate a Pupitar-esque design and turn him back into like a cocoon, or give him like a cocoon-like body with little tiny arms and legs sticking out of it. They could have went down that route, and I feel like that would have blown people back in a lot of bad ways. So yeah, they should have just like emphasized Dragonite's current attributes and emphasized them even more, like, you know, exaggerated them a little bit. I don't think the right call was necessarily adding attributes from Dragonair and just pasting them onto Dragonite's body without doing too much else to it, but it is what it is. Mega Blaziken, again, looks pretty good. Very simple changes to its design. So they added some black highlights to it instead of the brighter yellow. This kind of like feathery, I don't even know what we want to call it, that comes out of its head. They turned it in kind of like an X shape instead of what it was before, which was just sort of like a Y. I do like how before, it's not in this artwork, but he had flames coming out of its wrists. So similarly here, just is coming out in different style. It's not like a little cone shape that comes out. It's more like these streaks that are coming out of it. And they gave him this weird little horn in the middle of its head. Very cool design. It's just a next step into what an evolution would look like, or a half step forward for an evolution for Blaziken would be like. Mega Gardevoir, they gave it like a very nice gown, almost like a wedding dress kind of thing. I feel like it's fine for what it is. Mega Mawile gets 2 mouths at the back of its head. I think that's cool. You know, it's enough of a change where, you know, before it just had this mouth, it has this little tiny body. Here it looks bigger, looks like it has like pants on, this pinkish purple area on the bottom, and these 2 giant mouths. So it's like it's clearly even stronger than it was before. Not too much else to say there. Aggron and Mega Aggron, he just looks a lot bulkier, and that definitely plays into its ability in the game. I think it like resists, gosh, I forget if it's to resist all moves that are not super effective or something like that. It just gains a lot more defense, and it looks like a wall, like a literal steel wall. Medicham and Mega Medicham. So this reminds me a little bit of Mega Alakazam, kind of being an enlightened Pokemon. It has like extra spiritual arms coming out of it. It's like, you know, reached nirvana. It now has like super strong psychic abilities while also harnessing its like fighting powers. I think it's cool. It's fine. Mega. Yeah, not too much else to say. Manectric, Mega Manectric. This one felt a little simple, but sure, you know, it's electric type, so let's make it jaggedy and sharp and look like a thunderbolt symbol. So it is what it is. I feel like they could have done a little bit better with that one, but it's fine. Banette and Mega Banette, doubling down on the zippers and the creepiness factor. I think it's fine. You actually, you know, it opens up, like these zipper parts open up, and you see like this weird claws and its body that comes out, and it's like, I don't know, really emphasize the creepiness factor. Absol and Mega Absol, I feel like it looks a lot cooler than what it actually does in game. You know, with the extra wings, you would have thought it becomes a flying type. It does not, and I hope I'm not lying to everyone right now. I don't recall it being a flying type. But yeah, like everything just kind of gets a little bit more thicker and longer. Nope. But yeah, like most aspects of this Pokemon just like get emphasized even more. Like this horn on the side of its head and this little like bang it has. It just gets emphasized even more so here. The wings are a nice touch. I just wish in game it was reflected in that way by becoming a flying type. Mega Latios and Latias, I think they look exactly the same. I guess the eye color is the only difference. Wow, yeah. So it's yellow eye for Latias, yellow eye. Latios, red eye, red eye. So yeah, they're basically the same, minus the eye color. They're fine. They look like jets, sort of, purple jets. But it is what it is. They're like one of the few legendaries that get megas. Garchomp, yeah, kind of simple too. And in the same vein as Dragonite and Tyranitar, it being a pseudo-legendary, it's not doing too much with the design. But if you look at the original, so it has like these giant fins under its, you know, claws or whatever, that basically replaces its as like scythes, which is kind of cool. It being like very sharp and jaggedy originally as well. It just kind of goes into that even further. Has that shark fin on the back as well. And its jaw here, it looks very like curved and I guess softer, for lack of a better term. Here it's like prominent. It's like huge jawline, like it can literally chomp down on you and break your bones. So I think it's cool kind of highlight there. Lucario, originally Lucario, you know, already looks like a cool Pokemon. Mega evolves, looks pretty sick too. Has like these weird markings all over its body. Its hands and feet kind of become red. They have like spikes coming out of them. These like ear things that come out from the back of its head look really like how do you want to say, like jaggedy and like dried out. Before they were very like prominent, and here they're kind of just like floating in the air. He just looks like he wants to mess you up. Like he's went through a lot. Like Mega evolving has put him through so much that he just doesn't care anymore. He's just willing to get into a fight and not hold back at all. Mega Abomasnow, kind of a silly looking Pokemon. For some reason, looking at him always reminded me of like sauerkraut. I don't know why. It just reminds me of sauerkraut. And when he Mega evolves, he just looks like a giant like snowflake almost, but like an ogre snowflake. I don't know. It's okay, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't look bad per se. I just personally feel like they could have done something else with him. I don't know. They didn't really think about him too much, but I still think it's better than Mega Victreebel. Sorry. Mega Beedrill. All right, so now I think we're getting into Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. So Mega Beedrill comes out, looks like a mech bee. I always thought that was cool. He just looks extremely sharp. Look at all the needles, all the spikes, all the stingers. Pretty good design. I think it's definitely solid. Mega Pidgeot. I mean, it's still a giant bird. You know, they added some like blue highlights, this like weird pink feather that comes out of its head, and one in the front as well. Almost like it went Super Saiyan in some ways, if you look at it. It's like really spiky haired. It's okay. It's on the simpler side, but I feel like they've at least added whatever they did add, which was like this long feather at the back head of its head, some of these blue highlights, some of the reddish pink is like kind of its main thing, which it did not have originally, as well as the blue. The blue is new as well. Those are cool. It makes it stand out a little bit more, and it does make it look at least a little bit stronger than original Pidgeot. Slowbro. So this is the one that I instantly thought of when I looked at Mega Victreebel. So Slowbro already is a derpy Pokemon. Slowpoke, its whole thing is that it's so slow and stupid that it takes like a day or so to realize that it's been hit or something like that. Forget the exact Pokédex entry. So with a Pokemon like that, you would expect, all right, its Mega Evolution is going to look silly. And yeah, it gets completely engulfed in the shelter or whatever, the shell that's eating its tail. And that's just how it is. It's just sitting in the shell. It's bouncing around on its tail. So this is like, I think, a joke Pokemon Mega Evolution that works. And it makes sense for the lineage of the Pokemon. And it's funny. It's fine. I don't know. Something about Mega Victreebel just feels like they were trying to do the same thing as Mega Slowbro, but they were like trying really hard or way too hard, and it just kind of fell flat on its face. Mega Steelix looks kind of neat. It has like these weird shards that are like floating around it, crystals coming out of it. More like spiky steel things coming out of its chin. I feel like it's fine. It doesn't do anything too crazy, but it just, yeah, it looks like Steelix was forced to evolve even more, and steel brings out crystals, I suppose. You know, it is what it is. Not bad, not the best, but not bad. Mega Sceptile. Looks like a Christmas tree on its tail. A little strange. And these definitely look like ornaments on its back. So it's a Christmas Pokemon. I don't know. It's okay. I think they could have done more with the blades on its arms, which you know, they're still there. They're here on the original design. They don't look too different on the Mega Evolution. They just focused on the tail, which I get was a big aspect of it, but I don't know. It also becomes a dragon type, which is cool, but it's also not good because now ice type Pokemon kill it in one shot. Swampert and Mega Swampert looks cool. He just becomes bulkier, physically more offensive, I believe, in the games as well. So definitely makes sense there. Besides that, the design is pretty similar. Yeah, I guess they just swapped out the light orange for the dark orange and made his arms a lot bigger. That's about it for Mega Swampert. Sableye and Mega Sableye. I think this was cool. You can even see his reflection a little bit in here. Its whole thing is like with gemstones. I mean, its eyes are like literally 2 gems. So now it like runs around with this giant ruby or whatever and uses it as like a shield. So I think it has like a stronger or higher defense as well. But it's cool. I think it's like a neat little design. You know, they take an aspect from the original and they just kind of blow it up, which is cool. I think that's all Mega Evolutions really need. And I'm gonna keep bringing back Mega Victreebel is literally still Victreebel, but they instead of taking a design aspect of it and, you know, blowing it up and emphasizing it in a clever way, they literally just took the vine and wrapped it around its throat as if it's trying to hang itself, but then it realizes it's a fictional character and it can't die, so it's just stuck with us. But yeah, and anyways, moving on. Mega Sharpedo. Ooh, he looks rougher than I remember. Yeah, so yeah, it looks definitely more like a battleship, I guess now, with some like, looks like scars all over its body. I do like the original a little bit better. I think they kind of made this one's nose way too big. Since its whole thing was like biting and, you know, having like a strong jaw, I think they could have made the jaw bigger, but they decided to make it look more like another torpedo, which I think it looked like a fine torpedo here. But anyways, yeah, not my favorite, but that's just personal preference. Camerupt, Mega Camerupt, makes sense, becomes a volcano. Instead of these 2 little like mountain looking things, it literally has like lava pouring down on it. It's a walking volcano, you know, what else can you say there? Altaria, Mega Altaria, looks pretty like kind of whimsical. which makes sense. You know, now it's a fairy type, Dragon Fairy. So I think it works. Looks good. Glalie, Mega Glalie. Always thought this one was a little weird. It like unhinges its jaw. It's kind of strange to me. And I don't really quite know what the black part here is. It looks like a giant beard. Yeah, I feel like they could have done something else with it, but it's aight, I guess. Salamence, I love this Mega Evolution. I loved how its arms kind of like lock in under itself and just to become more aerodynamic. It has like one giant wing, which looks like a crescent moon, instead of, you know, these flatter wings that it had before. And it's in the games, I think its speed stat like doubled or something. Maybe I'm lying. I don't remember, but it was like something really, really high. So it makes sense why I did this. So unfortunately, in the middle of reviewing all of the Mega Evolutions, Bulbapedia stopped working, or was like really, really laggy for some reason. So I'm gonna try to finish it up here on Cerebi. Yeah, I was looking at Mega Metagross. So, you know, compared to regular Metagross, it looks like, yeah, so it doubles down on the levitation ability, being able to fly, that big yellow X over its face versus the white one, or the silver one rather. So it just looks like it's even more powerful in terms of psychic abilities. And yeah, like it can levitate now similarly to a Beldum and Metang. So yeah, it just works. It works in my opinion. Rayquaza, I don't even remember what the official way to say it anymore. I know they revealed it recently, but originally it looked pretty cool. You know, legendary Pokemon, Gen 3, a giant green serpent dragon. They just kind of added on to it a little bit more. They made it look more menacing. These weird little yellow streaks coming out of it. It looks cool. You know, that's what Mega Evolutions are supposed to do for the most part. There are some Pokemon, sure, that it's gonna just make it look silly, but for the most part, it's gotta make it look cooler. So Lopunny, here they decided to make it more of like a fighter. Whoops. Which is cool. You know, it's normal fighting type. Looks like it can, like, it's like a kickboxer, can like really do some damage, kind of like a Hitmonlee. So yeah, that one's good. Gallade, Mega Gallade. So again, playing into those arm swords that it has, now it kind of looks almost like a hero or like a prince. So whereas Mega Gardevoir looked like a bride or like a damsel, this looks more like a hero. And yeah, it looks like swords, has a cape. Very cool design. I think it's pretty neat. Mega Dino, I think it's the only 5th gen that got a Mega Evolution before ZA's coming out. There's probably going to be more. They made it like whitish pink now, a fairy type, which originally it was not. So now it's like a fairy type as well. Yeah, I don't know. There's not too much to say about it. It's a pretty simple design, but I think it emphasizes that now it's a fairy type, which, you know, it is. So that's cool. And finally, we got Mega Diancie, and it looks kind of like a giant chandelier, which is funny because we actually have a chandelier Pokemon that does not have a Mega yet. And yeah, similarly to Gardevoir, it looks a little bit like a gown. You know, playing on the whole, I guess, gemstone aspect, very shiny, very dazzling. I think it's cool. So yeah, honestly, going through all the Megas, I hope I didn't miss one. If I did, whoops. But yeah, there's a decent amount of Megas. I don't really count these two as Megas, so whatever. I still feel like Mega Dragonite and Mega Victreebel are not quite on the same level, unfortunately. And I am hoping that the other Megas that are yet to be revealed in Pokemon ZA are going to be better. And along the lines of these, you know, there's a lot of potential to hit up a lot of Pokemon that should have Megas. Mega Flygon, please. But we have to kind of wait and see. And I hope that we get Megas that are, you know, at least something that I can be excited about, and hopefully am going to be excited about to play the game when it comes out in a few months. But I've talked for way too long about Mega Evolutions. Hopefully you guys stuck around to the end of the video. If you did, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to get back into making more videos soon. If you agree with my opinions on Mega Evolutions, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Hit a like, please. And if you disagree, please let me know in the comments as well. You can even dislike the video. I don't mind. Let me know. If I'm completely off base or not, I have no idea. But yeah, thanks again for watching, everyone. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.